What's up, everybody? Welcome back to Beyond the Neon Veil. I'm your host, Cousin Ryan. Thank you for coming back and joining us for part 2 of Rob Schaefer's second interview about his time in the City of Sin. On this episode, if you saw last week, I throw in some of the stories that I haven't told yet, the things that we've done here in Las Vegas, so I hope you enjoy. Let's go ahead and jump right back into it. Okay, so there's 2 other stories that I wanted to that we've talked about in passing, and I want to get them recorded because I think they're great stories. But the first one, and they don't have to deal with Vegas, but I do love the fact that you have this in your back pocket to tell these stories. And the first one is about the 311 band. So for those of you who don't know, 311, Amber is one of their really popular songs back in late 90s, early 2000s was kind of their thing. So tell me a little bit about that. So tell the fans about that, because I already know the story. So I want to hear it again.
Okay. So in high school, I'm the lead singer of 311. I think, I can't remember his name right now. I'm just going blank. He went to Westside High School in Omaha. He was a year older than me. He was in my brother's grade. And they just formed as 311. And there was a girl, one of my friends, her parents were out of town, so they were throwing a house party. So I was at the house party. I was in the basement. And then all of a sudden, it's the murmurs start, 311's here, 311's here. They're going to make it big. So I'm like, oh, okay, that's fine. That's cool. I was down by the keg, I was the keg master pumping. Because if you pump the keg at a party, you're the first for a refill. Mm-hmm. That's just how it works. That's just etiquette. So I'd always pump the keg. And then they come down and they, I get them drinks, fill up their glasses, and then they go and they're acting better than everybody. And then all of a sudden, Peanut, he busts out he starts smoking crack.
Jesus!
Right in this girl's basement, and there's just smoking crack.
311.
And some random girl's house party. It's so, I'm like, dude, come on, don't be smoking crack.
So you got to see them before they were big.
Oh yeah, they were in high school.
That's so friggin' funny to think about. Oh my god.
Yeah.
Yeah,
So I have. I don't know if your viewers follow Lon Harris on Twitter. It's at LONS Lon Harris. He's a friend. He's so funny. Every now and then he'll bust out a 311. How he likes them or whatever, and we go back and forth about how I hate them, and they smoke crack. They're crack smokers. And he's like, you can't say that. I'm like, oh, I absolutely can say that, because truth is the absolute defense in any kind of slander or defamation. So if you want to put me on the cover of the USA Today or whatever newspaper or website I will state that I saw Peanut smoke crack in the house of a friend of mine in her basement. And I will say that, and I will never get sued because it's the truth.
So, hey, I learned something about slander today, and I'm glad I have this show. And Rob, thank you.
Yeah, no problem.
That discussion came up because there has been things to where I have seen in my time here in Vegas, and people have said that they're like, you can't talk about that. Well, I was there. I saw it. I may or may not have pictures of some of these things too that I'll never see the light of day, but I saw this shit happen.
Yep. So in terms of slander or defamation or libel, truth is a 100% defense.
That is so good to know.
So not that you can't be sued. I mean, anybody can sue anybody.
Right, but your defense of it.
Your defense will be 100% successful.
That's amazing. Okay, last story that I want to talk about before we kind of we get into some other things that I wanted to bring up. John Bobbitt.
John Bob, yes, my buddy John. So Monday Night Raw came to Omaha. Geez, it was like I don't remember the year when they came, but they were running a storyline where John Bobbitt got involved. And for those who don't remember, he's the guy that got his penis cut off by his wife.
Mhm.
And like me and my friend, we go to the bar where we know all the wrestlers are going to be. So we're just hanging out, drinking, and we're like, well, one way to talk to these guys, we'll start playing pool. We start playing pool, and then all of a sudden, John Bobbitt comes up. He's like, hey, man, you want to play teams? I'm like, sure, I'll be on your team. So we proceed to play all of these wrestlers for literally like 4 hours, beating all of these wrestlers. It was like Mark Henry, The Rock, anyone who was big in the WWE at the time. It's like we beat. John Bobbitt is an amazing, amazing pool player. So we're just drinking there and everything like that. And we're playing Mark Henry, like the world's strongest man. He's like the biggest man I've ever seen in my life, other than like Andre the Giant. The guy's like 6'5", 6'6", and he's like as wide as a refrigerator. Just he's a giant of a man. And John Bobbitt starts doing like tricks with this pool cue, and he swings it around and hits Mark Henry dead ass in the face. Just boom, he goes like this, and Mark Henry just looks at him, takes his pool cue, and he's like, "You need to be careful," and hands the pool cue back to him. And
Should have beat his ass, man.
well, he probably would have been within his right to do so, but I mean, he's a saint. He didn't. He just admonished him like a school a school child. He's like, you need to. So the next night we go to Raw, and then after Raw we go back to this bar, and the bouncer's like, nope, you gotta be with the WWE. It's an invitation only. I'm like, what? I'm like, we were here last night, and he's like, yeah, I know, but this is a private event. So I'm like, all right. So I turn around with my buddy. I'm like, this sucks. We turn around and there's John Bobbitt. I'm like, John, what's up? And he's like, Rob, what's going on? We give a little fist bump. I'm like, we on for doubles? And he's like, yeah, absolutely. And I'm like, they won't let me in. And he's like, I'll take care of this. And he's like, they're with me. And we're walking by. We're already half buzzed. We're like, yeah, we're with John Bobbitt.
Yeah. That's awesome.
Yeah, and then I guess I never told my wife that story. And then like 3 years ago, I don't know, John Bobbitt comes up on one of the shows we were watching. I'm like, did I? And I start talking about us playing pool. And my wife's like, you are full of it. And I'm like, I am not full of it. So we call my friend. It was like midnight on like a random like Tuesday night. I'm like, hey, John, tell my wife about John Bobbitt. And he's like, oh yeah, we were at the W. And he tells her, he's like, that is amazing.
That's so funny. That's so cool. That's
Yep.
so cool. And like the most random like person too, who ends up being famous for a different reason later.
Correct. Yeah, I think the storyline was like uh, one of the wrestlers was kidnapped by some other wrestlers, and they were going to chop off his penis, and then the lights go dark. Then the lights go dark, and then there's John Bobbitt there stopping them. So I think that's
so
that's
funny.
the story.
That's
Yeah.
so funny. So he was a pretty decent guy then to go hang out like that and play pool.
I mean, yeah, I get it. He's a good pool player. I mean, we drank and played pool 2 nights in a row for many hours, so it was a lot of fun.
That's hilarious. That's so funny. Uh, wow, totally random too. And that's so you've
Totally
met
random.
you've met and done some things in your lifetime, Robin. That's pretty amazing.
Oh yeah, and I just found out. I don't know. A couple of weeks ago, I posted a picture with the guy I went to high school with. I guess he's a big star. Tim Casher. Uh, I don't know. I don't even remember what band he's in, but like I posted, and they're like, "Oh my God, you know Tim Casher?" I'm like, I went to high school with him. I know him real well. And that's amazing. Like he's from Omaha. We went to the same high school. What do you want me to tell you?
Well, and it's funny. It doesn't happen as often nowadays, I don't think, or maybe I'm just out of the loop for it. But like both my parents went to school in Southern California, at Kennedy High School, and so did my aunts, and so some of them knew John Stamos and his sisters, and went to school with him before he was popular. My cousin went to school with the guy who ended up playing Johnny Tsunami on the Disney Channel back in the day, and he played paintball with Bill Engvall and shit like that in California when in high school. So it's the stories and golf from what I've heard. So like it happens. I don't think it just happens as much as people think anymore, or it's a different kind of famous. It's now like social media famous type of people.
Oh yeah, the social media famous is just insane. It's like you have these people. It's like I have no idea who they are, and they're like, oh yeah, they got like 80 million followers. It's like what? What do they do? They're like they're on TikTok. Like I'm too old. I don't get it. I don't understand it.
And I don't either, because I mean, me being only 35, I've gone out into Vegas and I've ran into people who come to find out were TikTok famous, but I didn't know it at the time. I just thought they were a person. I just had a conversation with a person.
Well, they're still people.
Yeah, but you know what I mean? Like where people are like starstruck, I'm just like, I don't know that they're famous like that. I just they're a random person I ran into in the world. So it happens. There was one night, I don't know if I told you this or if I mentioned this before, but there was one night when we were at South Point, me and my best friend, the people we run into, and we were drinking at the bar at like 1-2 o'clock in the morning, and up walks Joey Diaz, drunk off his freaking ass. And he was being followed by these two girls, and they were talking, and he was just, he was shit-faced. We said hi to him, but we didn't fanboy off it, even though I knew who it was. I was like, it's freaking Joey Diaz. But he is shit-faced and probably has no idea what he's doing right now.
Probably not. Probably no idea. That's funny.
I love Vegas, and I know we were talking last time you were here about how the Wet and Wild was back on the Strip back in the day, how it was right next to Sahara.
Yep.
And I have a quick story I want to talk about that, mainly because it really shows how small of a world it is. But back when I think it was like 99, 2000, I would have been 11, 12 years old, and we came down to Vegas with my family, and I remember staying at the Gold Coast. I think it was there at the time. Yeah, it was there at the time, right next to the Rio. And back when when we were that age, there wasn't a whole lot to do. There still isn't a whole lot to do for kids, but there's only very little amount kids can do when you're staying in Vegas like that. And my parents gave us a lot of freedom, me and my buddy and my sister, and so we used to go to the pool all the time. Well, there was this one time we were down there, and there was this girl there who was our age. We met. I ended up talking to her, getting her number. 12-year-old, 13-year-old infatuation type bullshit. Really cute girl, and made friends with her. Talked to her for a while. We convinced her dad to take her to Wet and Wild the same day that my family went. So her and I spent the whole day together. Anyways, we left. She went back to Alaska. I went back to my hometown, whatever. 6-7 years later, we talked maybe once or twice throughout the years, but like 6-7 years later, I'm in the airport in SeaTac, and randomly, as I'm flying to Vegas, she's flying home, I run into this girl.
Oh my goodness.
She's going back to Alaska, and I run into her, and it was one of those moments of like reminiscing, bullshitting, and we left. I moved here 6 years ago, so it had been another 10 years since we talked, and we happened to run into each other again at the freaking Gold Coast casino, because I was there and she was there with her family. We ran into each other again and hung out, and it shows just how freaking small this town really is.
Sounds like you were meant to be with each other, Ryan.
I mean, we've been friends. We still chat. It's one of those things. Like, she lives in Alaska, I live here. It's just weird. You know what I mean? Just one of those really weird situations. Small world. And it happens. I've run into people who come into town, and we happen to run into each other because we all hang out at the same places. People who come to Vegas have their routine, and they're creatures of habit.
Absolutely.
So I would imagine, even with your small amount of time there, there's probably people you ran into multiple times, not over an extended period.
Sure. Absolutely.
So
absolutely.
I love Vegas. Rob, you need to come back. Well, what do you want to do if you come back? What's something you want to do?
I just like to go, just drive around my old haunts, see what's changed. There's been a ton of new casinos that have opened up, and
Mhm.
the Sphere. I'd like to see that,
I would like to go do that. Yeah.
and just see how the city's progressed and how much bigger and cooler it's gotten.
Well, right now they are in the midst of paving the strip, and they actually knocked down part of the bridge, um, leaning over from the west side to the strip because they're redoing it over on Tropicana, and it's construction right now is just a complete total shit show.
Yeah,
But it's going to be so amazing. By the time you do come visit again, it's going to be paved and all brand new, and it's going to look even more different than it does now.
yeah. Because when I left, I mean, they had just demolished the Desert Inn. I think they just got done filming, like, I don't know, Rush Hour 2 or 3. One of those was filmed at the Desert Inn, and there were some big explosions there, and they just blew it up for real after that, and they built the Wynn.
Oh, that's right. I forgot about they did film that here, didn't they?
Yep.
That's right. Oh, that's a good movie too. I have to go back and watch that too. That was a good. Chris Tucker and Jackie Chan are amazing. They're really great. Well, I hope you do. I really do. I really hope you come back because there's a lot of trouble that you and I can get into, and hopefully your wife doesn't hold that against me later when we hang out.
I'm not getting into too much trouble, Ryan.
We'll see.
I'll
We'll
be
see
50.
We'll see. Hey, age is just a number. Whatever, man.
Maybe an earlier night of getting in trouble. Maybe I can handle that.
We can do a day trouble. It's fine.
Ooh,
October's not too hot, so
that's right.
it'd be a good time. Well, cool, man. Yeah, I loved having you on. I love talking these stories. I'm trying to dig up old stories because you've brought up a lot of memories for me of the last time we talked.
Yeah.
And so I want to go back and cover them at some point. I got a few good gems that I got to tell you tonight. I will say though, there is one thing that I want to stress to everyone that's watching. Even though everyone talks about the great times and the cool things we've all done, I've only had a few women on the show, unfortunately, who want to tell their Vegas stories, and so I'm hoping to get more. But the one thing I will say, when we were younger, and I think it's still the case now, but there was a time where we were hanging out at Caesar's Palace with some friends of ours, me and my buddy, and a really good friend from back home and her sister, and we made the mistake of them going to the bathroom by themselves. And not thinking anything of it because we weren't too far from where the bathroom was. Well, when they were coming back, we noticed these two guys following them, and these are the guys that kept grabbing their hands, kept grabbing their arms, like trying to, yeah. And so for those out there, you got to be careful. Travel in groups. Be careful. Make sure you're hanging out with people that you trust and that they're going to watch your back because people in Vegas can be very, very aggressive.
Yes, and if you have to go to the restroom and you're in the middle of a drink, get a new drink.
Yes. Oh yeah, especially here. I've heard stories just recently of a buddy who thinks his drink was accidentally spiked over thinking it was someone else's because he ended up not remembering one drink and not remembering the rest of the night. And he didn't do anything. He doesn't do drugs and he only drank. And so that's a scary, scary thought to think about if that happened just like that.
Yeah, it's like SVU.
Did you ever see anything like that when you were here?
No, not really. I mean, there was plenty of dudes when I was walking to and from work or walking down Fremont Street or walking to Slots of Fun for hot dogs at 2 a.m. That they try to sell you drugs, but
every time it never fails, man. Every time I'm down there, I get some random guy walking up to me, just Coke.
Yeah.
Do I look like someone who wants Coke, dude? Like what?
You have to go, smoke, just kind of going like that. So,
Yeah.
H.
We
like, man, I don't want to do heroin, and two, I'm too poor to do heroin. That's how I felt about it. Like I can afford 2 PBR tall boys and 2 hot dogs. That's my allocation for food and beverage for the evening. Then I got to go home.
Well, and what's funny is, so most of my friends are growing up where I grew up. It's a mix of a white and Hispanic because we lived in a very agricultural area. But all my best friends are on the lighter skin side, and so whenever we'd go to Vegas, I'd be in the middle of the group And the guy would walk through my friends and ask me if I wanted coke or weed. Not them, but ask me. So I don't know what that says about me and what kind of vibe I'm giving off or what, but
you got that look.
Apparently I got that look. I get that vibe. Although, even though that happens to me, my buddies are the ones who get the random, get the girls, the what are they called now, sex workers or what have you, who are out there. And I remember one night walking back at 3 a.m. and we were walking right in front of Caesar's Palace, and we stop at the stoplight, me and my buddy, and these two girls walk up and they go to my buddy and they're like, hey, and they start chatting him up, and I'm trying to pull him along because I know what's going on. I get it. And he's just drunk, not paying attention. This girl asked him, she goes, hey, how about you guys want to go to a party? And I was like, no, I don't want to go to a party. And he, dumbass, turned around and goes, oh yeah. What kind of party? A party in my pants.
Oh, gee.
And I was like, oh my God, dude, let's fucking go. Let's get the hell out of here.
So if you'll indulge me one more story that reminds me of, since I was at the Venetian, they were the home of the AVN Awards, which is the pornography Oscars, and it was like Vegas just filled up for the CES, the Computer Electronics Show, and that's the weekend that they had the AVN Awards, and it was like, I remember just like it was packed, and I had to like help serve tables and stuff like that, and like after work we go over to what was it, Ellis Island. We go down there, and there was a bunch of like adult film stars, and me and this guy from work, they're like, hey, you wanna go to a party? And my friend's like, yeah, absolutely. And I was the guy, I'm like, well, what kind of party? And they're like, well, it's just, whatever happens, and it's going to be a lot of fun. And, we're going to video it all and see what happens, and what happens. I'm like, okay, that sounds wonderful. I hope you have fun, because I'm not doing that.
I know what that means.
No way.
I know what that's code for, right?
Right. I was born at 9. I was not born last night. Yes. So, yeah.
That's so, I love that whole area. Actually, Ellis Island's a really cool, really good area. I hope everyone checks that out when they come, because it's still there and it's a very popular spot still. So, but they're everywhere, and they catch you off guard, and they will have the weirdest conversation with you to try to get you to come back, and it's so freaking funny.
Oh, absolutely, trying to make a living.
Yeah, but I just to straight up call it out, for her to say a party in her pants to my buddy, and just it's like, come on, it's 3 a.m. We don't need this shit. Not right now. Not right now. What is and there's been times, and I know I mentioned this earlier about finding money, and I'll tell this story real quick because it reminded me. But we were out at Excalibur. It was the same week my buddies and I were here for a week, and this probably was a dick move on my part. I don't know, but we're walking through the casino towards the escalators, and there was $100 on the ground, and I snagged it. And I'm 23 years old. $100 is a good amount of money for a 23-year-old to find. Picked it up, pocketed it. We go up the escalators, and we're walking towards the food court, heading towards the Luxor, and I'm with you and my buddies, and I'm not even paying attention, but they're apparently off to the side, like about 5-10 minutes later, there's a group of people, and they were talking about losing $100, losing their money. And I don't notice it, but apparently one of my friends do, and they're like staring these people down. And so however that happened, they figured out that one of us picked up money. And it's me and 5 guys, and they're following us. They end up following us back through the hotel. And we're heading back to our room, and I hear my friend, at the time, we're not really friends anymore, he fucking ratted me out.
Oh.
He's like, oh yeah, he ratted me out. And so when we went up to the room, come to find out, those guys the guys that were following us waited down at the bottom of the elevator for like a half an hour waiting for me to come back down. And I was like, fuck that. I'm not coming down again. Like,
right.
Who says it was yours, man? Like, how do you know that was the one I found? I'm not,
Well, I mean, the most logical explanation, Ryan. I mean,
no, my 23-year-old brain is like, no, fuck that. That's my money now. I found it. It's mine. But that's why I don't pick up money off the ground as much anymore, because of that shit.
That's why you don't hang out with that rat Fink.
Yeah. Fuck, dude. I can't believe he ratted me out, man. Like, bro, you're supposed to be my homie. You're supposed to have my back for this. But
you totally broke the bro code there.
He broke the bro code. And that's why when my birthday happens, I don't invite him anymore, because my birthday is in January and it's during the AVNs normally. And so my friends do come down and we go wander the strip to see who we can meet, because you never know who's wandering around. Sorry, Mom, I don't watch porn. I don't know who these people are. I don't know who these famous ones are. But then again, a lot of them live here. So I think I don't know if it was you, but I told the story where a girl I was dating came down for the AVNs, and she ended up hanging out with a bunch of porn star and cam girls and went back to the house with them and got to party with them.
Oh, boy.
She didn't fucking invite me. And it's like, come on, But I will always remember when the AVNs are. I'll never forget those dates, because birthday time. So
there you go.
Was there what was your, besides CES, AVN, stuff like that, did you have like a favorite time of for a convention to come into town? Because I know when conventions come into town, people are throwing money around like crazy.
Oh boy, normally, with any of the larger conventions, I was just slammed working in the restaurant, or playing poker. Just trying to reel in the fish. Ooh, pardon me. A lot of people that go to Vegas that don't know how to play poker, and playing the 5-10 tables and trying to be big shots. That's where like a grinder would make a bunch of money.
So kind of like rounders.
A little bit, but more legal than
right. But I mean, you're sitting at a poker table, and someone sits down who's probably never played before, who's really good at their home game back in their state, wherever they're from. Yep. And they get swarmed by the professionals, or the people who live here and play all the time.
Well, the people that play all the time and the grinders realize you can't just rake them over the coals and beat them constantly. You gotta make sure they win a couple hands. You gotta make sure they win a couple bigger hands. That way they'll keep on playing.
Right.
And they'll keep on coming back. You want the repeat casual player, because if you're just a murderer's row of regulars that that's all. I knew several guys that just made a living playing Omaha 5-10, or Hold'em 5-10. They make a living out of it, but if you have a tough game, people aren't going to want to sit down. You want people to sit down. You don't want to be a killer, silent. That's like the World Series of Poker in their tournaments. You see the guys with their hats low and the sunglasses and the earphones in. It's like, no, when you're at a ring game at a casino, you want to be up, you want to be happy, you want to be engaging with everybody. You still want to be a killer playing cards, but you want to make sure they're having fun as you're winning, a few hands more than you're losing in an hour.
Well, you want them to stay. You want them to stay.
Right. Absolutely.
Yeah.
Yeah. Absolutely.
If they're having fun, they're going to put their money down.
Exactly. That's exactly right.
So, all right, before we go, I have one more story for you that I think you're going to love, because it's about someone that we know mutually, and it's about Mr. Moose Haas.
All right, let's hear it.
We haven't told the story yet. We talked about this week. We haven't told the story yet. So, Mark doesn't like Vegas as often, doesn't like coming here. He doesn't like visiting, but I get him to come occasionally, and we go out and have a good time. Well, there was one night he came out, and me, him, and two of our buddies, Travis and Taylor, went out to Fremont, and we got just shit show drunk, the four of us, just ridiculous. And Mark, being 6 whatever, it's tall, gangly dude, and stands out in the crowd. He always has fun when he's drunk. He's always very just souped up and ready to go. Mm-hmm. Well, it was the end of the night, and I'm going to see if the video works, but it's the end of the night, and we're heading home, and I order us an Uber. and we're drunk, and this Uber pulls up, and it's this van, this all dark inside, but the van pulls up, opens the doors, and the light comes on. The center dome light comes on, and we don't think anything of it. We just get into the van. They pile into the back. I get into the front seat next to the guy. Doors shut. As soon as we start driving, lights flip on around the windows, around the ceiling, all like these like colored lights going off. Mark flips the fuck out and goes, "Holy shit, it's the cash cab! Holy shit, it's the cash cab! We're in the cash cab! We're not in fucking New York, dude, and this is not the cash cab, bro." He's going so nuts. The driver's laughing his ass off. He opens the glove compartment, reaches in, and he has mics, two microphones, and he hands me the microphones, and he goes, "What songs do you guys like?" And we ended up I don't remember what it was, but we picked a song, and he had screens on the back of the chairs, and it was like he had karaoke inside his van.
That's amazing.
And
That
so
would be so much fun.
Mark gets the mic and is just singing, and everyone's face is in the back. The two guys are just like, "God damn it, leave us alone."
That is amazing.
Oh, the Uber! I will say the Ubers here have been absolutely incredible. I've had some really fun ones. I've had some bad ones.
Mhm.
That was probably going to be my top 5 Uber rides I've ever been on.
Sure.
20 minutes, 25 minutes of Mark just singing his freaking ass off in the back of him, thinking it was the cash cab, ready to start answering questions. The look on his face when he realized it wasn't the cash cab was so sad. So
That's
sad.
So funny.
The only other Uber ride that I said that I think as good, and this guy won't get in trouble, is he picked me up at my place and took me to a concert. And a super nice guy. Me and my girlfriend at the time were just chatting him up. And he's like, "Hey, you guys seem cool, super chill." He's like, "Reach in the back." And it was a car that had the trunk was like open to the back seat.
Mm-hmm.
And I reach in the back seat, and he's open the cooler. I flip open the cooler lid, and there was just piles of airplane shots and like beers and Trulies. And he goes, "Take what you guys want."
Nice.
Holy shit, man. I mean, he'd probably get in trouble for that, but hey, I tipped him very well and gave him 5 stars.
5 stars.
That's the way to treat a Vegas person.
Absolutely.
Well, I had to share those. I've been wanting to share those stories, and since the guys who are normally Mark, I love to embarrass Mark, so I hope Moose sees this and he remembers that. But I have the videos. I'm going to try to post them up. Also, if I don't post them on here, Rob, I will send you the videos of Mark singing because they are hilarious. But thanks again for coming on, man. I had a really good. I love talking to you. I love bullshitting with you.
Yeah, my pleasure, man.
Is there anything else that you want to talk about before we go?
No. I just love sharing old stories with friends. It's always a lot of fun. I appreciate you inviting me on the second time.
Yeah, man. I'm glad you're back, and I can't wait for us to have more stories if you come back and visit.
I will let you know if I'm coming to Vegas with my wife. I know she wants to talk to you. She watched the previous episode.
Well, I hope she watched this. We're gonna probably split this one up into 2, so this will be the second half.
All right, sounds good.
But if you think of any other Vegas stories, let me know. I'd love to have you back on.
I sure will.
Mull it over. But everyone, thanks again for coming tonight. Again, I'm your host, Cousin Ryan, and this is my really good friend, Rob Schaefer. Go check us out. We're on Twitter. Our Twitter handles are below. And make sure to keep an eye on Benny Moose Save America. I will be hosting a very, very special drunk trivia coming up shortly with Rob and his team, who is, and I think we're about ready to announce who your team is, but
not announced yet. But
not announced yet. But your team is going to be amazing. I'm excited, but I get to host the show, to be a part of it. I'm really, really excited to be there, and I'm really excited to see you guys play. But thanks again for coming, Rob. It was a pleasure. It's been great.
My pleasure, brother.
All right, man. Well, you guys everyone have a great night. Thank you again. Remember to click like, subscribe, or fuck off our channel, like Benny says. We'll see you all later. Have a great night.